Hey everybody, welcome to Beers with Braveheart, the beer cast with good sons and best buds. I'm Braveheart, and today I'm joined by my new friend Krystal.
Hi.
With a K. She's from New York. And today we are drinking the Big Sky Moose Drool. Let's clank it and drink it. That's tasty.
Right?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And welcome to California.
I know.
You were here before, but you were over there.
I was over there.
Our last guest was Corey, her boyfriend. He's cool, I guess. I don't know, he's alright. First thoughts.
I think it is actually very similar to the one we just had before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you did have a little bit.
Yeah, I had a little bit.
So it's a brown ale.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like pretty much when they get dark, they get brown. Know what I'm saying? Let's make sure.
Oh man.
Now that your mic is on,
I didn't know this
it's all
was
right.
on.
It's okay. This
I
picked
heard
you up.
myself, so that's
Yeah.
why I was like, whoa.
You're okay. Now it's much better.
Hello.
Well, let's break this beer down. This is Moose Drool from Big Sky Brewing. It is a brown ale and has an ABV of 5.1% and has no IBU rating. It's made by Big Sky Brewing Company, which is based out of Missoula, Montana. And I'm so happy I get to actually say Missoula.
Missoula, Montana.
And it is supposed to be served in a pint glass, which is what we have. Numbers. Yeah, this is... Have you ever had this before?
Mm-mm.
This is one of my... I always forget how good it is. It's one of Will's favorites, I know. So, cheers, Will.
It was, yeah. Cheers to Will, my cousin.
Look at my eyes. These are drunk eyes.
Ugh.
Missoula, Montana.
Missoula. And the name is hilarious.
Yeah,
Moose
I
Drool.
was like, this is. I thought you guys picked this out because of the name of the beer.
That's
to be
part of
honest
it.
with you.
Initially, we did, but then we're
Yeah.
like, oh, it actually is. It tastes good. It's funny. The name comes from when they originally formed. When they started to come up with ideas for artwork. One of the founders, Bjorn, his mom,
Love that.
Jane, was an artist, and they decided to have her paint. What they wanted to do was keep the logos and the theme to Montana critters. So they told her to paint a bear, a moose, a marmot, buffalo, etc. But when they looked at the moose painting, and you could see it on here,
Yeah, I was just looking at
it was of a moose lifting his head from a pond with water pouring out of his mouth. One of the other founders, Neil, walked by and immediately said, "It's a moose. He's drooling. Let's call it Moose Drool."
Yeah,
And then there you go.
Moose Drool.
Yeah,
Cheers to that.
cheers. There we go. So Big Sky Brewing was founded by Neil Leathers, Bjorn Nobosny, I think is how you pronounce that, and Brad Robinson. Brad and Neil had been homebrewers in Michigan in the mid-'80s, and then they moved to Missoula in the summer of 1990. And when they got there, they went to Bayern Brewing Company and were impressed by the lagers. But since they were already a specialist of English beer, which it's funny because that was our last episode where he wanted to make English beers, they decided that if they did ales, like English style ales as opposed to lagers, they would stand out in the town of Missoula.
Missoula, Montana.
Their first step was this is awesome. Their first idea on how to become beer influencers was they decided to go to their local cable access show, their local cable access, and have a show called Beer Talk, where they would drink various types of beers and comment on what they liked and what they didn't like.
How ironic.
Sounds familiar, maybe? And the show, I guess, broke local records for viewership records, and they caught the attention of Bjorn.
Bjorn.
Bjorn. Baby Bjorn. Bear Bjorn. who was finishing his bachelor's in finance, and then he joined the team. They got financing, and then they finally opened their brewery. They finally made their first batch, a red ale called Whistle Pig, which is another cool name.
Moose Drool.
In June of '95, followed by Moose Drool, and then Scapegoat Pale Ale.
Scapegoat.
They have great names.
They do.
They're all awesome.
They're eye catching. That's what I feel is important. You know?
Like Whistle Pig, that's got to be a good beer.
And you said that one's a red ale?
Yeah, that one's a red. Yeah. Do you like reds?
No, I haven't. I've never
never had one?
experienced a red ale.
This is they're not too different from brown ales. They're maybe a little bit sweeter, not as dark, not as heavy.
Like
really
amber, like an amber kind of?
Amber's closer. Yeah.
Closer?
Yeah. Amber, I think I put amber in between brown and red.
And red,
Yeah, which makes sense because amber is brown and red. And then when they first opened, the brewery was a draft only beer for the first 5.5 years. So they wouldn't bottle. Part of it was, the main part is they were just too small and they couldn't fit a bottling line. But then in 2002, they broke ground on a new brewery building. And now they sell around 2.5 million 6-packs a year.
That's a lot of nuts!
And to 24 states, and they're the #1 brewery in Montana. So
Montana.
a moose can dream.
In Missoula.
In Missoula.
Missoula. Moose from Missoula.
So a Medusa. Medusa. Whoa. So what are you tasting? Can you pick out individual flavors? It's kind of hard.
To be honest, I think it's a little nutty.
That'll be $4, baby! You want fries with that?
Is that?
Yeah.
Is that
brown ales tend to be. There's
Yeah.
also nut brown ales,
Yeah.
which are more nutty. But yeah, a little bit.
A little bit nutty. You said before that the IBU is none, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That was something I wanted.
It is
to
a
bring
little
up.
bitter though, so that's
It
what I
is
said.
a little bitter. That's why I was surprised by that.
Yeah. It's not necessarily a scale of bitterness. It's just what they use, and
Yeah.
it's the intensity of what they use. Yeah. It's another like red color. It's a brown ale, so it looks brown when you just look at it from the side, but when you see the actual like gradient of it, it like red pops out.
Yeah.
And it's nice because we have the lighting, but then it's also a black background. So we would think it's a relatively neutral way to look at it too. You know,
Yeah.
like if we
Hold
did
up
it this
to the
way,
light.
yeah, it's all green. Looks great. Now the bubbles are not very sticky.
No.
They're just sliding down the
Yeah.
glass.
I noticed that from the beginning
Yeah,
when I was pouring them.
right. With your distinctive hands.
Yeah. Not that one.
Not that
the
one.
second one.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I poured this
You poured
one.
that one. All right.
Max poured that one.
You were
My
wearing
hands
a
don't
different
look like
colored
that.
shirt, and you had man hands
And I had
and
really
hair.
hairy arms.
Did you have a mustache?
Yeah.
What?
I did. I shaved it off in the
Oh, okay.
episode.
That was fast.
You know, what can you do? You gotta keep it clean.
Yeah. Be presentable. Oh, hey. Well, no. Okay. That's interesting right at the end.
At the end?
I'm getting a nice woody flavor at the end. The last little bit.
Yeah.
I like that. Because I'm a whiskey guy, too. I love me some scotch and some bourbon. It's actually interesting, too, when they make scotch. The first couple steps is the same as beer. Scotch starts as beer.
Really?
And then they go, yeah, fuck you. And then I think it's that they, the malts that they add and just then the next, you know.
Yeah.
It's a different process by then. But the first couple steps is it starts as beer. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. But the more you know. I don't know how the thing goes. So, on a scale of 1 to 10 in intensity, the most intense kind of mooses. So, least intense being 1, the calmest, most easiest going, Bullwinkle. To the most intense moose, 10, Mussolini. Benito Mussolini. How many intense mooses do you give it?
See, I didn't think it was intense.
I didn't
thought
think
it was
so
flavorful,
either. Yeah.
but I didn't think it was intense. So I would probably, on intensity, give it a 4.
I guess we could just say strength.
Strength?
Because Bullwinkle is not very strong. Look at those
No,
arms.
yeah, I know.
Mussolini?
He had people, man. He had lots of people. He had lots of people.
Yeah. So strength, maybe not intensity. Strength.
Strength.
Wasn't Mussolini? Wasn't it like
a
Vic?
7.
7?
7?
So that would be like chocolate mousse,
Yeah.
like a real
Rich.
nice rich chocolate mousse. Huh?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Nice
Chocolate
chocolate
mousse.
mousse.
And that is not fake.
Ow!
This is chocolate. Boppity boopity.
Boppity bippity boppity boopy.
Bippity boppity boopity.
7.
I would say 7.
I feel like
Cause
I want to agree with you. I think it's closer to an 8 for me.
yeah.
I just don't. I can't think of.
Because I thought it was rich. Like, it had, like, a lot of flavor, but it was really easy going down.
Yeah, it was very smooth. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 7 too. I
Yeah.
think a 7 is perfect. It's nice chocolate mousse.
Chocolate.
Funny. Not quite a gelato, but a nice mousse. That's gonna be all we have time for today. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for joining us. It was
Thank you
very
for
nice to have
having
you. Yeah. Yeah, we're on Instagram and YouTube, and that's about it. And they can find you on Instagram too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, because I would have put your thing up there earlier. So don't make me a liar. But we had good conversation, a good beer, and the end.